Hey, welcome to Footy Fin, and we have the Rugby Six Nations Championship has kicked off this weekend. We've got Super Rugby Pacific starting next weekend. The in some ways bizarre draw for the Rugby World Cup 2027 has been announced. But today I want to focus on an update in relation to New Zealand rugby and the ongoing search for the next coach of the All Blacks. So it's been a couple of weeks or so since I last spoke on this subject, and there have been a couple of updates. So yeah, I just want to quickly run over those and reflect on a couple of things. Please let me know what you think in the comments. I'm happy if you've got a different opinion, and please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'd love that. Now, is New Zealand rugby in a bit of a state of crisis? It sounds a bit dramatic, but think about this and think in terms of any corporation, even in the business world outside of sport. So New Zealand rugby at the moment are without a CEO. They're searching for a new CEO, a new chief financial officer, a new chief commercial officer, a director of high performance, and a coach of their flagship team, the All Blacks. It's not a great state to be in, is it? And most of the board are relatively new as well, I should say, including the chairman. So yeah, things are not great, and it's kind of a bit of a question of who gets chosen first, because if you're coming in as coach, you'd kind of want to know who the leadership are in terms of the director of high performance, the CEO, etc. On the flip side, if you're coming into one of those positions, particularly director of high performance, for example, you'd kind of want to know who the All Blacks coach is. And those positions, it's critical that they support each other. So yeah, it's interesting times in New Zealand, unprecedented really, I would say. Now, in terms of the coach of the All Blacks and the search for them, and there's been some speculation and different names thrown about, and I've thrown about a couple as well. So there has been some movement here. Some men have been ruled out. Some are still in the race, so to speak. So let me run over this. So first of all, Tony Brown, who's currently an assistant coach of the all-conquering Springboks, a New Zealander. He was touted as maybe returning to New Zealand, possibly as an assistant for his fellow former Highlanders player and All Black Jamie Joseph. Well, basically, Rassie and then Tony himself has ruled himself out, saying he's going to see out his current contract with the Springboks. Then we've got Vern Cotter, who has been around the traps for a long time, once coached Fiji, and has been coach of the Blues and took the Blues to a title a couple of seasons ago, their first title in over 20 years. Well, he's recently signed a contract with the Queensland Reds in Super Rugby to take over Les Kiss, who will take up the Wallabies coaching position come July, August. So he's essentially been ruled out. Then New Zealand Rugby have come out with a couple of essential eligibility criteria, and they are that the next coach of the All Blacks needs to be a New Zealander. No major surprise there, and the All Blacks have never had a coach that's not a New Zealander, incidentally. And the incoming coach will need to have been a head coach at international level. So Ronan O'Gara, for example, his name had been thrown about, and he's done a bit of time in New Zealand with the Crusaders in the past, but he's ruled out on both those counts. Joe Schmidt, who's head coach of the Wallabies until July of this year, when Les Kiss will take over, his name was being thrown about. Although basically in recent days, he's ruled himself out of the race. He's basically said that, look, he's forged relationships in Australia with the Wallabies and with Rugby Australia and the players and the franchises, etc. And obviously he's got family issues as well, and he's not a young man. There's a lot of speculation that he'll stay on. He knows new Wallabies coach Les Kiss very well. They've worked together in Ireland. He'll probably stay on in some kind of consultant capacity, and as an Aussie, I hope that is the case. But he's ruled himself out of the head coach of the All Blacks. So really, it doesn't leave too many. Bizarrely, in my mind, this week I've seen a headline or two to say that former coaches Steve Hansen and Ian Foster are being considered. I'm sorry, that's silly. That's just silly. Okay. Yeah, that would be incredibly backward. And they've each lost, each of them in their respective most recent attempts to win a World Cup with the All Blacks. Foster in 2023, Hansen in 2019 when they got beaten by England in the semi-final. So that, to me, is absolutely ridiculous talk. So really, we're just left with two genuine contenders. I mean, I've mentioned Robbie Deans before. He fits the criteria, but he hasn't coached at international level for a long time. I think it was with the Wallabies around 2013 or 14. And I believe he's still in Japan, so I don't really think he's going to throw his hat in the ring. So really, realistically, there are other old fellas out there like Wayne Pivac and Warren Gatlin, but I don't think anyone's realistically looking at them. So we're left with Dave Rennie, who coached the Wallabies and was building something until he was unceremoniously dumped by Rugby Australia a couple of years ago, now coaching the Kobe Steelers in Japan. And Jamie Joseph, who has previously coached a lot of professional teams with some success. He's also coached the Japan national team, not necessarily with great success. And he is the current coach of the All Blacks 15, the sort of All Blacks development squad, if you like. On the basis of that, you'd probably have to put Jamie Joseph in the favourite, in pole position, as many are. And who knows? I mean, we haven't had confirmation from either of these men that they're definitely counting themselves in the race and interested, to my knowledge. But yeah, who knows how it'll all go. Anyway, that's a state of play, as I see it currently in New Zealand rugby, and the search for the All Blacks coach and other leadership positions. Please let me know what you think. Have a look at my last video, just pointing out a lot of issues with the Rugby World Cup draw for next year. But anyway, looking ahead, looking forward to the next couple of Six Nations games and to some degree to the start of Super Rugby next weekend, although also the NRL season's just around the corner. But I'm going to go find a rolling maul to stick my head into. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you again soon. See ya.